All right, what's going on there, folks? Good Saturday afternoon. The Earthmaster here with an update video on this June 25th, 2022 date, about 12:23 p.m. California time. Latest quake shows some movement with a 3.1 earthquake here out, looks like around the Mediterranean region. All right, let's go ahead and check out the latest activity around the flat scale model map, including some activity really ramping up here around the Puerto Rico area. This movement, most of it occurring overnight and this morning time frame. This is the 2.5 map and above. This is not the all magnitude, so this is actually a pretty good increase in earthquake activity right around the Puerto Rico Trench and the Puerto Rico area in general. The largest quake so far, a 4.4 over here north of the St. Martin area. Looks like it's just to the south here of the trough, Sombrero Trough area. Puerto Rico Trench sits a little bit back up here. So definitely seeing quite a bit of activity ramping up here. The other quakes here within this region, 3s and 2s. Let's go ahead and add the all magnitudes map and see if we got, well, it doesn't really kick up too much, but just kind of watching all this activity really close to the Puerto Rico Trench. I know it's been quite a while since we've had a sufficient large-scale movement quake on this area, but that is the active spot today. Looking at the map, far as earthquake activity goes in a certain area, Puerto Rico definitely topping the chart with that one. All right, let's go ahead and check out the West Coast activity. Got some movement. We'll start up here in the north. Low activity, a little swarm of activity, I would say, right on the Seattle fault zone. Now this one here is capable of producing an upper 6.0, I believe, maybe even a lower 7 magnitude if I remember right. I did cover this in a little bit more detail in one of my previous videos. I will add the link to it as a what to watch next after or at the end of this video. This one definitely, I think this one here has more of a potential to do damage to the Seattle area should we get a 6 or 7 on this fault system, because it goes directly through this area of Seattle, highly populated region. I think that would do more damage in terms of earthquake shaking than the Cascadia would do, due to the distance and whatnot. 7.0 compared to 9.0, you got to remember the distance here. This fault system goes directly through the Seattle area. So, oh man, what do we got here for magnitudes? Looks like a 2.5, the largest, but this activity is deep, super deep here. 20 to 30, looks like 31.4 kilometers, the deepest, in this area. Been a little while since we've seen any type of swarming there on the Seattle fault. So we'll keep an eye on that. But watch this. Watch the video at the end of this one. Kind of cover it in a little bit more detail. Some activity up here around Vancouver area. Looks like a couple small microquakes. Oregon looks pretty quiet today. Not a whole lot showing up. Only one earthquake in the Mount St. Helens region, and that's just to the west. We'll check out that seismograph station there for the pre-recorded data in a little bit. California, Northern California, pretty quiet. Some movement. Looks like around the San Andreas fault zone here. Could be the plate boundary. Looks like some microquakes that we've seen similar to yesterday. Some activity around Long Valley supervolcano once again, although it's not really making too much of a quake feed today. It looks kind of a little bit less than what we've seen yesterday. But either way, still seeing some swarming kicking up. Looks like the largest so far this morning is at 2.3 at the negative depths here, negative 1.1, indicating some very shallow earthquake activity. Go back over here to the satellite. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that region. It definitely sits here within the Long Valley supervolcano caldera. Let's see what else we got further down south. Ridgecrest, a little spotty activity. Some movement down in southern Cal. Still seeing a little bit of swarming going on around the Mexicali area along the border. Nothing spectacular going on around the southern segment of the San Andreas Fault or the Brawley seismic zone. Just one little earthquake here north of Brawley with a 1.2 in that region. Of course, the San Jacinto Fault Zone. It looks like portions of the Elsinore Fault System as well, showing a little bit of microquake activity today. The rest of the country, Texas, Oklahoma, New Madrid Zone. We've got one earthquake here in the Illinois area. Looks like Ellis Grove, 2.2 at 10 kilometers. And one little one here. Looks like that's in the Blue Ridge Mountain areas. Great Smoky Mountains. Still an area I really want to visit one of these days. 1.8 there in the looks like Weaverville, North Carolina. Pretty shallow earthquake at 1.3 kilometers. Movement in Alaska once again. Excuse me. Kicking up around Denali. Looks like a little swarm of activity here just on the Denali Fault. Last night we were seeing quite a bit of swarming in this area. Looks like it's still kind of continuing. Getting a pretty good push of earthquake activity up here north from the Gulf of Alaska, the subduction zone. So I'm watching that area pretty closely as well. If you look over here to the western Pacific, things have dropped off dramatically. There's not a whole lot going on here along the Japan Trench or the Mariana Trench here. A couple spotty fours, I believe, here around the Taiwan area south into the Philippines. Java Trench relatively quiet. Nothing really going on here around the Fiji Islands area. It did have a 5.0 just to the southeast of the Loyalty Islands region. Pretty shallow earthquake for this area, 23 kilometers for that 5.0. I did have some movement here around Iran earlier today. Again, still in that swarming area. This 5.6 here, I believe, ties the other 5.6 that we've seen in this region. Let me see if I can find that real quick here. Stand by for a second. We're probably going to have to go back 30 days. Let's go 30 days, 4.5 and above. This area has seen quite a bit of movement, folks. I think it's pinpointing to something in this region as far as large-scale movement goes. So the last 30 days, I could have swore one of these fives was a 5.6. Looks like they had downgraded it, which would make today's 5.6 the largest in the cluster of earthquakes. Now that's 4.5 and above. Let's bring up the 4.0 and above for the international region. Looks like about 36 earthquakes in this swarming area just off the coast of Iran. And the majority of these looks like they're all about 10 kilometers for the default depth. So 5.6 in the mix. A lot going on here in this region. I'm going to have to watch this pretty closely. I know, if you recall, remember, Afghanistan area and the Pakistan border did see that pretty large earthquake a couple days ago. Some damaging shaking going on there in that region, a 5.9. Originally, I think it came in as a 6.1. Keep it below the 6, right? So overall, Middle East region up against these mountain ranges, definitely looking at some possible large-scale movement around the area. But it's super dynamic in terms of the pressure gradients and all the fault systems. There's much more fault systems than what's shown here on this on the USGS map here. It's just the plate boundaries, the major plate boundaries. So not 100% certain exactly what this is pointing to, but whenever we see swarms like that and they're climbing in magnitudes, something to watch pretty closely. Yesterday, seen a 4.4 there in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. No further activity in that region today, at least as far as 4.0 and above goes. And that one from yesterday, the Central Mid-Atlantic Ridge, had a 4.8. South America, overnight, 5.1. Also, it looks like a little bit more recent earthquake here in the Peru area, 4.8 into the Peru-Chile Trench. 69 kilometers here, so a lot going on for sure. It's just we're getting that teeter-totter effect once again here, back building due to the lack of activity here. It doesn't mean pressure is not there. It means pressure is not great enough to produce any major release of earthquake activity here along the western Pacific. So I think for now, unless we see something major kick up here, we got to watch the west coast and areas around the Caribbean plate, South America region, Nazca plate, all these little plate systems right here. We need to watch pretty closely. Remember a couple days ago, a couple nights, we had a swarm of 5s within this region. So be on guard, west coast for sure. We'll keep an eye on the Long Valley supervolcano swarm. It looks like it may start to be maybe picking back up again. As I mentioned, it looks somewhat active this morning. We'll see how active it gets though throughout the day. And of course, if anything drastic changes, we'll provide some info here on this channel. So West Coast, watch out, keep an eye out for some further activity. Seattle south, definitely showing some movement out here today. Let's see what else we got here. Tremor count from last night. Kind of want to see what we got here. We did have a little bit of tremor up near Seattle last night. This is along the Cascadia subduction zone. And let's bring up the Juan de Fuca plate interaction, the boundary here. The subduction zone underneath the plate, underneath the North American plate, I should say. This area does extend all the way from Northern California up into this region to the Vancouver Island area. So this tremor looks like it did occur right around the Seattle fault system. I wouldn't doubt it tonight if we see this area showing a lot more tremor count, considering the depth of that earthquake, of those earthquakes, I should say, in that little swarm going on up here in Seattle. These are pretty deep, 25 to 30 kilometers deep, right around. Well, that's kind of just upstream of where the tremor area normally takes place. So we'll check this out later tonight. I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit more filled in around the Seattle area. Let's see here. What else we got? Let's check out Mount St. Helens here real quick and see what we got. Let me take a drink of my energy drink. I know they're bad, but I didn't feel like having hot coffee on a 108 degree day. It's it's 101 already outside here. It's supposed to be getting around 107 or so. So it's only 12:30 in the afternoon. It's hot. I'm staying inside. I'm staying inside all summer. I'm not even joking. No, I can't do that. I'm an outdoorsman, so I have to be outside. I just have to quit my whining, I suppose. Looking at the Mount St. Helens recorded seismograph station. We'll give it a second. There we go. Looks pretty quiet. Aside from a couple small quakes here, I know we're looking at a little bit of, I'm not for sure what the wind speed is up there around the Mount St. Helens area. See what we got. Let's double check that real quick. The thing I like to use for wind monitoring and all sorts of events is the Windy app. It's really cool. Looks like they got some east wind going on up there. That's just a wind speed. Wind gust, pretty significant in the area north of, looks like right around the Mount St. Helens area. Definitely getting in on some pretty good wind gust up there. 24 miles an hour, and then a little bit further south we got some looks like 40 mile per hour gusts. So I'm sure up around the the elevation levels, things are kind of kicking up in the wind department. That's kind of what we see here on these graphs. It looks like there might be a couple small microquakes in the noise of the wind, but not a whole lot. Definitely not a whole lot today. Checking out the previous UTC time, UTC day, about the same. There wasn't too much going on there yesterday as well. Earthquakes Canada map. Get in on the activity as well. Looks pretty spotty along the western portion of Canada. Over here, got one earthquake in the purple circle outside of the Ottawa area. Looks like a 2.5. This one coming in yesterday to the area of the Morrisburg area. Looks like it was felt by some people out there. Aside from that, looks like something going on out here in the Atlantic Ocean. Couple earthquakes, 4.6. That one from the 19th. Some of this activity pretty old there. So, all right, Yellowstone National Park. Pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of swarming going on here. Looks like the activity we had seen down south here around the Idaho area has dissipated. No major swarms to report. Looks like maybe Kind of hard to tell what this little activity is. It might be some small microquakes. And I'm sure these guys had some wind events as well. I've seen that showing up on the Parker Peak area and all across this region. It's going to be this kind of this noise similar to what we would see on the Mount St. Helens station. A lot of these seismograph stations do pick up noise and whatnot. Around the Norris Museum, looks like about the same here. Let's see what we got up there in the Yellowstone area. Ooh, look at that! Look at that madness over here. That's a pretty good wind event. Specifically here, looks like a little bit, but nothing significant as far as wind events go. I'm not 100% certain what that is. I think it's got to be somewhat weather related there at the Yellowstone region. So yeah, just looks like a cold front sweeping through here. That's probably good news for those folks. 82 degrees up here in Oklahoma City area, 100. We got them beat though, 107, 108 today, but we got a dry heat, right? I don't think that really matters, at least to me anyway. A lot of people, they don't like the heavy heat, you know, the thick heat. I prefer it though. Lets me know that there's moisture in the air. When it's quiet, when it's dull, a dry heat, it sucks everything, life out of everything. Let's see what we got for Hawaii. Double check the volcanoes. Looks like the latest update put out on Kilauea today. Looks like everything still sits at a watch in orange. And the crater activity, or the activity in the crater, continues. All recent lava activity has been confined to that crater. No major, looks like no unusual activity along the East Rift Zone. Everything looks about the same as it always has. Earthquake activity on the Big Island. Let's double check that real quick. Looks like about 20, right? 20 earthquakes. Most of it confined to the southeastern region, Pahala. Very typical. No unusual earthquake activity noted here on the Big Island. Solar weather activity is somewhat, well, let me check this out here. I did see something earlier. It looks like we did get a little bit of aurora amplification here due to a southward tilt of the magnetic field. Here's the BT-BZ zone. Notice that separation of the line there indicating the tilt, allowing that stream, the solar wind, to kind of stream in and elevate the aurora. KP index was around 3, and it looks like that was forecasted here over the next couple days, right on cue. After that, though, things start to mellow down. The activity, these are all irrelevant. These are not, they're old data. They're having some type of power issue going on. This was updated a few days ago. Some type of power issue around where these images are kept. Far as like the main source goes, but it looks like, let's see this one here. This one's 625. Yeah, see, that's an old one there too. 3038 is now much further over here. 3040 is growing, but it's definitely hard to tell with the lack of the correct maps up here. This coronal hole activity is definitely not new either. This is from the 22nd. Looking at the live data, though, you can kind of tell it's crackling a little bit, getting some very, very low C flare activity. But overall, things just kind of staying neutral right now as far as the flare threat goes. A lot of times, even with those maps not updating, we can kind of see elevated activity in the flare department. But kind of looks like right now everything's in the green as far as the forecast goes. Only a 60% chance of a C flare, 10% chance or less for all the other flares. And we'll wait for things to get fixed on the space weather side of the images. But this site here is really cool, pretty dependable in terms of looking at space weather and whatnot. They do get all their information from the Space Weather Prediction Center and all the other NOAA sites. There's a whole bunch of them. Let's see if I can get. There's a lot. I wonder. Let me see here. This one kind of looks like it was updated here. 625, 1936. It's a solar ultraviolet image. 3038's way over here now. Beautiful features, and man, there's a lot of cool stuff on there. Prominences and filaments popping off there. Looks pretty neat. Let me check out the 284. So this image, these seem to be working. Not for sure what's going on with the solar ham site, but these appear to work fine. This is kind of cool. Shows you prominences, filaments, flare. I don't think I've ever looked at this one. Either way, this site, spaceweatherpredictioncenter.noaa.gov, you go to the products category and you can pick out any of these images. They're pretty cool to look at. The movies are there as well. It's definitely well worth the visit if you guys are bored on this Saturday. All right, what else we got, folks? I think that's about it. Let's see if we got any new quakes popping off here. Hawaii 2.1. Let me see here. Looks like there was a 4.1, somewhat deep there into the Middle America Trench. A 5.0 in the Atlantic Ocean. That was from, these are some older quakes right here. Remember, this is a combination of EMSC and USGS models. All right, folks, I'm going to bounce out of here. Have a good day. We'll see you back here a little bit later tonight. See if Missy Mimi's can step in with us for a question and answer show. I'm sure she will. I don't think she's busy tonight. We'll definitely be back here around 7 o'clock West Coast time. Till then, have a good day, folks. Stay cool if you can. And just take it easy out there. Peace out, guys.